Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 5 of the Book Writing Journal. So, we are almost at the end of Story House, which has been a 6-month container of working with an awesome group of people and with fantastic book coach Patty. So, Patty and I have started to change how we're working together, and we're also starting to change what we're working on. So in this episode, I'd like to talk to you about the book proposal and the process of the book proposal, where I'm at in terms of the writing process, and how my writing has been changing over the last number of months. So when we're putting together a book proposal, let's start there. When we're putting together a book proposal, it's almost like having to write the book in short form. We need to be able to put together a table of contents, a preface, an introduction, an overview of what the book is about, and some sample chapters, as well as some other biographical information about me and why this book is important for the world right now. So my question for you before I go on is to say, if you know any other books that deal with a guy who is, or even a lady who has transformed a physical illness, who has traveled the world, who has had the kind of experiences that perhaps I've had, I'm interested to hear, because I'm looking for comparables to include in my book proposal. The other thing is that as we're pulling together the book proposal, we need to really refine the chapters or the chunks of work that I've already created. Now, this is a bit of a process. And it's not like that because it's difficult. For me, I find a lot of resistance in this process because Patty, who is so amazing and so incredible at what she does, is really poking me to go deeper when I don't necessarily want to go deeper. She's asking me to dip into feelings that perhaps I'm not really interested in sharing, which kind of goes against why you'd write a memoir. But it's an interesting push-pull relationship at the moment. And what it's forcing me to do is to perhaps dip into things that I would either rather forget, am used to not sharing, or is part of who I am. Part of who I am over these years of traveling has not been to share a lot of photos of myself. In fact, when I was in Portugal for the last 2 weeks, it's probably the first time I've shared as many photos of me as I've ever shared on any of my travels. Mostly what people got over the years were really nice landscape images, or what I would call postcards. So this whole process of writing a memoir is really drawing it all out. But it's good, and I'll come to more about that later. So the other thing we do in the proposal writing process is start to get in tune with a style, and a style that I would like for my book and what we call my voice. I'm still trying to work out what my voice is, but as Patty shares, the people from the Commonwealth tend to have a lot of toing and froing in their writing. And what that means is that we add a lot of superfluous words, which kind of keep the reader from being in action. The reader is not really able to follow the stories easily because they're having to read long descriptions, which, whilst I might like the descriptions, it's not going to serve the purpose of the book, and it's not going to serve the reader in the best way. So Patty's been encouraging me to really cut out the toing and the froing, to start to create content in a way that we start off in one place, we might flash back to something else that's important, the reason why that's important, and we bring that forward. So a lot of the things that I've written are now having to be chopped up and sliced in and feathered into a section in a new way. And this is both a learning process as well as a deeply introspective process, as I'm also being asked to go into feelings. And part of this book is about helping others to explore their feelings, and I'm having to do it myself. I'm having to do it yet again, thinking that, well, I thought I'd already done this and it should be easy to write about feelings. Sometimes it's never easy to write about feelings, particularly when you're writing about what I would call sensitive topics, or things that I have not necessarily always shared as openly or as candidly with people around me, and yet I'm having to really think about doing this for this book. So what I'd like to do is share with you the progression of my writing for one particular section that we've been working on. And this section may or may not end up in the book, and it may or may not end up in the book proposal, but I want to illustrate to you how we make a change and we remove what we call this toing and froing, and we get more into action. So let's begin with version 1 of a section, and I'll move on to version 2 in a moment. So version 1, I remember the first time that I'd heard about the butterfly effect. It's a metaphorical idea that a butterfly flapping its wings can have far-reaching ripple effects on a seemingly unrelated occurrence. I remember the wonder and I had felt as I pondered the idea of our interconnectedness, our interdependence, and I marveled at the possibility that the universe operates through carefully choreographed chaos. In 1800, Johann Gottlieb Fichte said, "You could not remove a single grain of sand from its place without thereby changing something throughout all parts of the immeasurable whole." I truly believe this. Someone had suggested that it would be cool to be at the pyramids for the 11th of November 2011. At the time, the internet was abuzz with the possibility of aliens landing from Orion, Masonic rituals being performed to activate the pyramids, and a whole host of other possibilities. I had wanted to go back to Dahab and to Egypt after my trip in 2009, and these rumors intrigued me enough to draw me back. So that's version 1. If I move on to version 2, where we get more into action, you'll see the change. So it begins. "The flapping of the wings of a butterfly can be felt on the other side of the world," says a Chinese proverb. It must have been in my 20s when I first heard about the butterfly effect, that a butterfly can impact the weather thousands of miles away. As I travel far and wide, I ponder our interconnectedness. What impact am I having, known or unknown to me, on the people that I encounter? On retreat in Bali, I'd heard others say it would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to be at the pyramids in Egypt for the 11th of November 2011, or colloquially 11-11-11. The internet was also abuzz with rumors of galactic alignments, of aliens landing from Orion, and Masonic rituals being performed to activate the pyramids. Egypt was definitely on my list of places to get back to. And pyramids, less so. But I was drawn by all things spiritual after my Bali retreat. A man never stands in the same river twice, which means that everything is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I thought to myself, as I did the mental gymnastics needed to get me to commit to doing anything that would take me away from my number one reason for being in Dubai, to save money. So you can see that there's a whole shift in not only the way that you write, but the way that you convey the same information in a more action-oriented way. And so what I've been doing is really putting in more, or getting rid of the to and froing, keeping the pace going, and putting in more feelings. I purposely haven't shared a section that goes deeper into feelings this time around, but maybe next time, because I'm still working on how did it make me feel to be making this decision? How did it make me feel to be making this choice, to be going somewhere for what I would say is something that was very woo-woo for me at a time when I was perhaps less woo-woo myself. I'll kind of leave it at that, and we can talk about that on another journal update. So the book proposal will come together over the coming months, and it requires a lot of work, it requires a lot of refinement, but I'm excited to be stepping into this new part of book writing. I know that there's still a lot more content that I haven't created, but for right now, I have enough content for the book proposal. So that's what I'm working on for the next few weeks. I would love to hear your feedback as always. I love receiving your messages and reading your comments. Good, bad, indifferent. Let me know, what do you take away from this? And what would you love to see in this book as I continue the process of writing? I can't wait to hear from you, and I can't wait to see you again in the next episode of the Book Writing Journal.